Hi there from Mariposa. We've just spent a really nice morning doing some walking in Yosemite, and now we're home. It's the afternoon and I've been looking out at the lovely scene behind me. A great place we're staying with lots of big rocks. So I decided I'd paint that. So this is the little painting I've done. I'm just going to show you how I did that. I'm just going to sketch it in first with my Conte. What I'm really interested here is all the rocks. So just deciding where my boundaries are going to be. I think I'm going to have a flat sort of rock going across here, leading up to some all round rocks, and then over here is a rather large rock. So it's going to be just getting sort of vague shapes of that in. Bit rounded on the top and then down, being careful that's the middle of my page. I don't want the edge of the rock to be sort of in the middle, so I'm just going to bring it out a little bit further there. Sort of like that, and there's some smaller rocks here. It's a very beautifully landscaped place I'm staying at, where all I had to do was go out and mow around the grass around all the rocks. There is another rock coming down here. I'm just going to put the edge of it coming down there for a bit of a lead into the path. So that'll be the kind of basic shapes. A path coming round like so, the rocks in there, and then there's another lot of rocks I want to capture in the background that are quite large again, and there's a whole lot of bushes in there. So this is just some basic shapes of those rocks. And again, I'm not worrying about getting it exactly right. I just want the feel of the place. This is going to be another quick one. So there we have rock, path, another big rock, and then there'll be shrubbery all around through there. I've chosen the red because I think it will show up with all the green, and so I'm just going to block in a little bit of the green here to remind me how it goes, and it's going to be some just showing up behind that rock there, and then there's a different green coming back here, so it'll be a whole lot of different greens. I'm just blocking some of the greens, and there's a darker green behind here where it's all in shadow. So I'm blocking that in as I go. And some I really need a new tripod. This one's a little bit unstable and you can see it's wobbling around, so I'm sorry about the wobbles. Just going to put all that in to remind me what trees are going to go in where, and it's going to be quite light up again around this tree, and then quite dark behind it, so put in the dark behind it. That could be a wee bit darker too. And it's quite shadowed there, so I'm using a sort of bluer green down in that area. So that's just blocking in the values of those greens. And this path is just a scattering of small leaves. And it's just all sorts of earthy colours. So what I'm going to do there is just some dotty colours, and through here dotty colours. I want to get the more loose shape, so not putting it in with the flat side of my pastel, just with a little corner. And I'll need to mix those colours up, so I'm just using different earth colours to do that. bits in shadow, so they're going to be fairly happy to put quite a few darks in there, but I'll do some sparkling little light ones. Over here it's going to be lighter, so I'll make sure that I get some really light ones in there around these rocks. I will come back and do this again. This is just to establish the values which we've talked about in other videos, and which there's a whole lot of skill builder and exercises this month on. So I'm just wanting to indicate that that's very light back there, and it becomes darker in here, so I'm going to pull out some darker colours and dot in amongst a few lights, but those lights can't be as light as the ones back there, so I might need to go ahead and change that a little bit eventually. So here I am using a little bit of the side of my pastel as well to put in some darker areas of earth in between the leaves, and just showing through the leaves, just to keep that a little bit darker than the sunlit bit of the path there. And the path kind of disappears behind the rocks then. Up here there's also a big old tree that's coming out there, so I'm just putting in some dark trunks there as a reminder of how that goes. There'll be more greens in there, and there'll be a touch of blue just showing through, so I'm getting a very light blue and just putting a few touches of blue in here. That might get worked back into again, but just to remind me that there's a little bit of sky showing through there, and I can work back into those trees later on, but that is just a reminder at this stage. All of this is going to be green in here too, and again a whole lot of different greens, so I'm just pulling out a number of different greens, and some of them are bluer greens, some are grey greens there, and some of them are brighter greens, some of them are darker greens, and a couple of very bright greens here. I'm not too worried about exactly what trees I'm trying to represent. It's more just about some shapes with some values at this stage. It's just to get going up. This one here above that rock is really quite almost lemony in places, so I'm getting a very yellowy one just for the tips of that one. Now I need to put the rocks in before I keep going with the green, otherwise it'll start to get quite confusing. The rocks are fairly grey, but then they have a lot of moss on them, and it's spring coming into early summer here, so all the moss has died off because the creek has dried up, so it's quite almost orangey on the tops of those rocks from the dried up moss. So that's going in a little bit down here and a little bit on the side of that one, and here there's still a hint of the green on that one, but it's a dried up sort of green, and that's not, I won't have a green that's going to match that in my kit here. So what I'm doing is I'm putting on a couple of different greens where that mossy rock's going to be, and then I'm going to make it a bit less green by putting over that sienna sort of colour. So that's just going to simulate the moss on that rock. I will want some of the rock to show through, and the rock's quite grey, so I'll have to really got a grey, but that's okay because I'm just going to mix one up here. But first I want to make some sharper edges on that bit of rock. It's a rock after all, it needs to have some sharp edges. So putting in some of that grey colour, and it's going to be the same on this rock here. I'm just using some nice sweeps of the side of that pastel, and then a real edgy, sharp edges for some of it as well. I'm going to put some blue into this as well. Right now it's just this greeny grey. That's the major shape of that rock, and one side is much darker than the other, and I'm going to darken that up by using a bit of a dark blue and purple. And it's a transitional edge there between that. So I'm just using my finger to blend it slightly. It's much sharper down here, the edge, so it's getting a sharper edge where those shadows are. Quite dark around here. This is not going to be the final colour, but it's just setting a nice deep dark value. And I wanted to add a bit of colour into it as well. So I'm just using these dark colours to add some colour into those rocks. This one's going to have a little bit of that up along its base, and that one will have some darker elements to it around its base. The rock back here has a nice jaggedy bit of shadowed area there where two rocks, there's a little gap between two rocks. So I'm just popping that in now, and then underneath here is more shadow. And again, not the final colour, but good just for the values. Just give my hand a little wipe now and then. Keep it a bit clean. So at the moment it's a kind of a jumble of different valued colours, just to give me an idea of where I'm going with it. I want to put those other rocks in there. They've kind of got lost a bit with the grasses that I was putting in, so I want to overlap them, so I've got some nice overlapping shapes there. And they need slight attention with something a bit darker there. And again, I'm just going to use that purple to lay in a bit of shadowed area in it. And this one's quite a lot of shade, so it's going to be a nice coating of this. It's also got some tree shadows on it, so some of this is just shadows from the tree. That will be going in purple and in blue. So a few different colours going into there. And I'm going to add some of those blues into there as well. you can see the masses building up there. This rock needs to have a bit of an overlap with that one, so I think I'm going to make that one come out a little bit more. And then this one comes up and overlap. So I don't know how much you've missed of this because my I dropped my camera and broke the LCD screen, so I can't see when it turns itself off from videoing, so I'm sorry if you've missed a whole lot of it. I will talk about what I'm doing, give you a little blurb on what I've done once I see once I see where I actually got to in it. So around there, then just a whole mix of different greens, and it's going to be a little bit darker behind the light area. I'll set up some contrast and a little bit lighter behind the dark area. So just some random marks over there for the for that foliage. I've got the little flower heads here, and I'm just deciding what colour to make them. I'm going to make them a pinky sort of colour like so. So they're just going in randomly. They're probably a more yellowy, orangey colour. So I'm going to pink and orange them up together, just to get a nice variation in there. And they're the little flower heads on that bush. Again, just going in randomly. More up the top, less down the bottom. That's just a mixture of orange and pink, because they're at various stages of flowering. And I might even put in a couple of purple ones as well. Maybe a little touch of that purple's going to go on that rock as well, just again to help blend it all together. That I'm reasonably happy with. I'm not happy with the top of that rock. Not at all. Absolutely no happiness emanating from me at all about that. So it just didn't look rock-like. So I've given it a few sharper angles and planes there to try and make it a bit more rock-like. And then I'm going to introduce that colour over here as well. Alright, that's a bit better. Can't say I'm 100% happy, but you know, when am I ever 100% happy? Very rarely. That's just a new sort of green I'm introducing there. Camera check time, folks, just to see if it's actually recording. It's still recording, yay! So over here it's just going to be a bit more of the foliage, and I think I'm just going to make that darker again. Just randomly. This is colour fix paper I'm working on, just that terracotta colour, which I do love and which features quite a lot, because I think when I'm doing landscapes it's just a really good colour to help enliven all those greens I'm putting over the top. And I'm choosing a whole range of greens. I tried to bring a good range of greens with me because I knew that when I was in the mountains, in wetter areas, I would want a whole lot of greens. Now that's quite okay, but I now need to put some lighter bits over the top of it. Just a few bits of lighter here and there. This one is very light. It was a kind of, it's going to be a tree that's coming down through there, so I might just put in this one really only has a couple of little touches of light in amongst the shadowed areas, so I'm just popping in a few little lighter areas. Just to suggest some light touching on it. They're not quite like I wanted them to be, so I need to do a bit of work on there. Rounding that off a bit. That's better. And then I'm going to take the dark edge over a bit further there. And try and run some colour up into here, adding in some more colours into that. Dead mossy. Hi, back again to finish it off. So there's not much to go now. I just need to put in a few little sky holes and maybe a little bit more colour through there. I might add in some more flowers just to brighten it up a bit. And these might be a little bit made up, these flowers. Just because I want to have a bit of, ooh, that's not a very good one. Let's try this red one. Why not go with red? Simply because while I've been going around, I haven't really seen red flowers here, but I've seen a lot of other colours, so let's try and stick with something I've seen. There's Blue Pacific, which I've seen, and there's some whiter, creamy sort of ones. So I think I might go with the cream ones. Actually, here's a yellowy, creamy sort of one. I'm just dabbing them on here. I just need to get some a little bit darker than that, so I'm taking this more. So I'm varying the colours of them. The values really. The colour is still a creamy sort of colour, but just making some of them slightly darker. And here's a more yellow version, so a little bit brighter. That's one there. This is going to be some brighter ones on there, but I want it to be a little bit darker down towards the base of that rock there. So going around the rock, it's going to be a little bit darker. And then I'm going to have the brighter ones coming through it. So I'm just going to go back in and re-establish those branches. And then we'll be building on that in a moment. The sky. I want to put in a bit of sky. Just breaking some of the holes. It's very light, so I'm going to put in a darker blue as well. Snapping that one in half because I want it to be a little bit... I'm still not dark enough, so I'll go on with this very dark, much darker one. Just dabbing some in the, and trying to get it a little bit coming in from the edge there to suggest the sky. And then just going back in with some of these other greens. Got a bluer green there, which I'm just putting in as a background colour there around that tree, and it's sort of running into the sky, helping tie the sky and the trees together. And giving a little bit of distance there by having it slightly bluer green, and then this is going to be quite bright green. So I'm grabbing out this very sort of bright yellow, yellowy green, and that's just going to get very jabby leaf, like the sun's hitting those leaves all over there. And again, that's just another variation. I'm going to put in a few the bluey green ones in there as well. They're actually quite, that's actually quite effective as sky holes. So I'll put some of those in as sky holes, and just drag some of that up into the sky there. I like that greeny sort of blue. Falling backwards. So that gives a bit of a shimmer to the sky there. This needs to have some different greens in it. So some darker greens amongst all that, so that the yellow highlights will shine off it. So there's my darker ones, and now going back in with the light green, and I might even put a couple of the little jabby yellow ones as well, just for extra brightness. Shouldn't do that, should I? Shouldn't blow pastel dust, but occasionally I forget my rules and I do it. I just now want to edge up the, finish that one again. And it is hard to get darks to go over lights, which is why the tree should cut into, the sky should cut into the tree. But one of the tricks is if you just use a pastel darker than you really want, when you're going over lights, it usually fixes it for you. I might put a couple of tiny little branches coming up there as well. Okay. My problem now is that's probably a bit too dark and it's going to make our eye go right up there, so I'm just going to take a more browny colour and knock it back slightly. And as it comes right up towards the sky, even further back, as it's coming out of the painting. So the eye doesn't spend too much time up there. And then, to bring us back down here, I'm just going to edge that tree with some light spots. I may actually bring some more foliage here over that tree trunk a little bit. Just to make it not so prominent. Down here, just a few more jabby jabs of some different colours. That's just some leaf litter. You can see by putting the orange leaf over the blue shadows and the rocks, it sparkles a bit there. And I'll just put a lighter one, but not as light as this area here, so just a few lighter leaves. And it depends on how hard your pastel is, how easily these go on. And sometimes you can't get the shape you want because your pastel isn't soft enough to actually leave it in the way you want. But I'm getting some good marks there. Down on this bit of the sunlit path, I want to put in some little warm jabs of leaves. And just a couple of different colours in there as well. Demonstration of the boulders. It just shows you can take any subject you've got. I didn't have time to paint in wherever we were this morning. 6 weeks has really gone by in a rush. Didn't really have time to paint when we were doing our walking, so I decided I'd do something when I got home. You don't need a Grand Canyon or a Yellowstone or whatever that park's called that I've temporarily forgot, Yosemite. You don't need any of those great scenes, grandiose scenes, to paint a really compelling and enjoyable little picture. So I hope you enjoyed it, and in a few more days I'll be back on Australian soil, and then I'll say a few more little videos, do a few more little videos for you. The problem here is it's been very hard with the technology. The internet's not always been up to speed. I haven't been able to connect. Something's gone wrong with the camera, so it's not been as easy as I hoped it would be to send you some videos while I was on holiday, but I hope you enjoyed this one. Bye for now.